Today I'm going to really quickly and briefly touch on greenlaning and trail riding, exactly where to start if you've not done it before. Personally, when I came to it, I had no idea what I was doing. I found it was quite hard to find much information online. Didn't really know what to do. When I first came to it from motocross and road riding, I thought greenlaning and trail riding was literally riding around the roads looking for signs that are unsuitable for motor vehicle tracks or byway tracks, going down that lane, then driving around till you find the next one, and then driving that lane, and then going down and finding the next one. If you do it that way, you're gonna have a long day of riding tarmac and barely any lanes. I can't recommend that. So I thought I'd share some of the answers that I have now. I've not been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for about 8 months. But some of the answers that I have now, and some tidbits, some tips, some tricks, how to find routes, the maps that I personally use, the apps that I use now, a couple of the public right-of-way symbols, what to take with you, things to expect, general common sense when riding the lanes, and how to find people to ride with. Some questions like that I had, which I now have some basic answers to. I'm not going to go into the full planning of these things and showing you how to plot routes and stuff. I can do that in a separate vlog, but today I just want to touch on the basics in case you wanted to get into it and you weren't sure where to start like I was. Breeze through it. Any questions you got, drop them below. If you got stuff to add that I haven't mentioned, please also drop it below. It's great to educate each other. I'm always learning, obviously, so I'm happy to hear new stuff. Yeah, so drop anything else you've got below and we can chat about it and carry on the conversation. So let's just start with how to find routes. I would strongly suggest, if you've not done any of this before, joining the TRF, the Trail Riders Fellowship. I've heard mixed things about this. When I first started, I heard good things and I heard bad things. Personally, since joining about 8-9 months ago now, I have got nothing but good things to say. It's been the best move I've made for doing more trail riding and greenlaning. I've learned so many things, met so many cool people, and just had a fantastic time so far. So if you want to find routes and groups to ride with, a really quick answer is join the TRF, and I'll talk more about the TRF themselves a little bit later on and tell you what they offer and stuff and whatnot in a broader aspect. But immediately, if you just want to find routes and get on some rides really quickly and learn some stuff, that's the place to start. Really can't recommend them enough. You can join some local runs. You can record those local runs on something like Outdoor Active so you have them to hand for yourself in the future. You can request GPX files, you know, and you can trust those files will be legit and often checked rather than just random files from random places, which are not always fully legal. Which brings me on to something else. If you want to find other routes and you haven't got time to plan your own, GPX files. GPX files are essentially code files which people have already planned out of lanes. You can go to, I don't know, Facebook groups have them. There's specific Facebook groups that offer them, or something like the TET website, the Trans-European Trail, or even the ACT. I think there's an ACT website as well for adventure bikes, which is a slightly easier option over the Trans-European Trail option for bigger bikes, heavier bikes, obviously. You can go to these websites or Facebook, download GPX files of routes within your area, put those into something like Outdoor Active, super simple to do, just import a GPX route, and that will then just wham bam, within seconds, give you a route to follow. Like I said though, if you're getting it from a source that you don't know or don't trust, then you might want to just check that all the lanes are legal, that you're not riding across private land or riding bridleways and whatnot. And if you do decide to do it and you've not done it before, just clue yourself up on the public right-of-way symbols and what you're allowed to ride and what you're not allowed to ride. Because things like footpaths and bridleways are not legal to be on, and also private land, obviously if you're riding across a farmer's field or whatever, yeah, you're going to get in trouble. So just know your stuff with all of that. But GPX files are also a way of doing that. Facebook, the TET website, or the TRF. You know, those things are a great option for those things. Or you can plan your own. Now, the TRF, once you join up, or GLASS, which is the 4x4 version, I think, the Green Lane Association or something like that, they both give you access to a green road map, which is essentially a website online that has all of the legal green lanes in the UK. They're highlighted in green. When you click on one of those routes, it will give you the access and the information of the local council, how to contact them, also some comments generally and some photos. Also, this gives you the routes with TROs on, which are traffic regulation orders, which might mean that some of these routes are temporarily closed, permanently closed, or they've got stuff like, they've been closed due to fly tipping or the reason for it. So it gives you a massive kind of array of things that you can follow, and it just gives you access to all the legal green lanes. So if you want to go and plan your own, then you can go into something like OS&M Maps, the app on your phone, or you can load up Outdoor Active on the laptop, which is my preferred way of doing it. And you can just jump across from the green road map, find your local area or where you want to go to, see the lanes, jump back over to Outdoor Active and just plot your route on there. By clicking from that point of the lane to the end of the lane. By the way, there will always be road work, no matter where you go. Some parts of the UK more than others, but always expect some road work. You can't just always ride off-road, apart from maybe if you're doing the TETs, it'll be more off-road work. But if you're generally just doing small green laning around your local area, you will be having some road work. So if you plot a point, say you've got a lane from here to here on the green road map, you find that an Outdoor Active, plot that point from there to there. Then there's a bit of road work, so you just plot that road work, find the next lane, okay, from here to here, bit of road work. You can plan a route in that way. If you want a more detailed vlog on actually plotting and planning the routes, I can show you, but a great way to plan your own is to use the GRM, the Green Road Maps, which is super easy to use and fantastic and part of the TRF, all glass, like I said. If you don't want to do that and you're still against that, then obviously you can just get out a map, or you can get out a computerized map or a paper map. Go take a look at the public right-of-way symbols, which you can find on Ordnance Survey. There's a blog here right now on public right-of-way symbols. You got footpaths, bridleways. Obviously you don't want to be riding those things. Those are pretty illegal to be riding on. You want to avoid them at all costs, but byways are generally the things you're looking for, which are, these are open to all forms of traffic: pedestrians, horse riders, cyclists, cars and other motor vehicles. These routes are often marked with red arrows. That's generally what you're looking for. So go and familiarize yourself with the Ordnance Survey maps and the symbols that they offer and that they kind of mark on the maps. And then just go find a map, look for these symbols. The only issue with that is you don't know if they might be closed or open. So you're gonna just have to kind of risk it and plot it out and then go and have a look yourself. There's loads more symbols on there you can have a look at. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but just familiarize yourself with those, the laws and regulations, and what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. So if you want to plan your own, there's a couple of ways of doing it. I'm just going to recommend one mapping system, one app to use, and that is Outdoor Active. I've used multiple different apps, OS&M Maps and other ones that I can't remember right now. The easiest one that I have now found and always use is Outdoor Active. If you join up, it's something like £20–25 a year. You can download the maps as well. So if you're in places where the signal drops out, like in Wales, which is always dropping out, you won't lose the maps. It goes on offline mode, so you're not going to end up riding across some sort of private land or some farmer's field and get arrested or, fined, or your bike compounded or whatever, or chased by police. You'll always have access to the maps, and it just makes it super easy to follow. It's also super easy to plot routes, save routes, record routes on there as well. So really recommend Outdoor Active. You can download it on your phone, which then brings me to navigation. I've always used my phone. Now, if you've got a really nice expensive phone, I can't recommend it. I use the iPhone 12. It's super old with a quad lock on the back. The quad lock will not save your phone if you're off-road, even with the dampener. The phone is like this all the time on the bike. You're gonna smash it up, you're gonna drop the bike, the camera's gonna get wrecked. Mine's been okay, surprisingly so far, but I think one day it will go. So either get yourself an old phone, download the apps on there, download the routes on there and use that, or get yourself a dedicated navigation unit. I've never used one, ever. So I'm quite stingy and don't want to buy something new. it's going to cost me loads of money. So any recommendations on navigation units that you've used, please do drop them below. But otherwise, yeah, get an old phone, clip it onto your bars, sorted. So that's what I recommend. Or obviously a paper map's always an option as well, but I do not personally use paper maps. And they're also quite expensive for the OS Ordnance Survey paper maps. And obviously you have to buy them for specific areas when you're riding there. So yeah, it's worthwhile also learning how to read those maps, but you can do that online as well now, which I guess we're all moving more towards. So that's a few bits on finding routes, the maps that I personally use, a couple of the right-of-way symbols that you should definitely know about. A bit about the TRF, I guess. Yeah, I heard mixed things before I joined. I kind of got put off and was skeptical about it myself. But like I said, I've not had anything but good experiences with them. You get access to local groups, Facebook and WhatsApp groups. You get access to local runs then that happen several times a week, especially now the sun's out. So you've always got, you know, runs that you can just jump in and join whenever you want. That also then gives you the opportunity to track and then go back to do those routes at a later date after you've done them once. It's so supportive. They hold workshops on tyre changing, on bike maintenance, on kit maintenance, on planning routes like this, on the laws and the regulations and whatnot. And you just get people to ride with. It's fantastic for meeting people to ride with. You find out who rides at your pace. You know, you start to ride more with them and then you just get really friendly with them. It's a great community and I can't recommend it enough. So that's a bit about the TRF. It's something like 50, 60 pounds a year. And they also fight to keep green lanes open, which is what we want, right? We don't want them closing, we want to keep riding them. So yeah, highly recommend just spending a very small amount of money and joining up there, because no matter what you get out of it, whether it's just the maps or whether it's the whole shebang, it's well worth it. So just a few things to bear in mind when you're going to go and start greenlaning. First of all, think about what bike you're on. Are you on an adventure bike or are you on a trail enduro bike? Because you kind of want to plan ahead. Some of these lanes, especially in the winter, if you're on an adventure bike and you've not done this stuff before, you're going to be in for one hell of a ride and you're probably going to get stuck. Some of them I would not recommend doing on a heavy bike, even if you're an experienced rider. So just bear in mind what bike you're on. If you're riding with people, then just check with them if they've done it before. If not, go and recce the route, have a little, you know, feel out, have a little look, have a little walk down, especially with fords. You know, get off the bike, have a look at how deep it is. Just be aware of what bike you're on, how high the pipes are, how much of a good rider you are. And if you're riding with people, like I said, just check on the terrain you're going to be riding, what to expect before going, because yeah, you don't want to get caught out being on a big, old, heavy adventure bike if you're not an experienced rider and the trails are going to be pretty gnarly and technical. So just bear that in mind. So when you're going on the trails, a few things that you should take: wear the right kit. People wear different kit. Some people wear knee braces, some people wear knee pads. Some people wear, you know, hard body armor, some people wear soft body armor, some people wear neck braces, some people don't. Everyone has their various reasons as to what they like, what they don't like, what they used to wear, what they don't wear anymore, what's more comfortable, what makes you feel more confident. So yeah, figure out exactly what you prefer to wear, what you're more comfortable in, what keeps you comfortable. Obviously also consider what weather you're riding in, whether it's hot or cold, wet or dry, and just dress accordingly. So first of all, yeah, get the kit to protect yourself. I would really highly suggest doing that before hitting the trails if you're new to it. Tools and spares, but obviously buy what you can afford. Don't go into serious debt as well. Keep it fun. Tools and spares, yeah, take tools for your own bike, spares for your own bike. If you got tubes, take levers, take spare tubes as well. If you got tubeless, take a few puncture repair kits, just things like that. Be aware of things that might go wrong and take the stuff with you. Maybe a first aid kit, maybe a couple of litres of fuel just in case you got a small tank and you get stuck. My KTM's got like a 13 litre enduro tank. Most of these enduro bikes or trail bikes have small tanks. So generally I'm okay, but if you have a smaller tank, take a bit of fuel, tie it to the back, just in case, put it somewhere. So yeah, tools and spares, obviously food, take a bit of food, take some snacks, navigation, phone or navigation unit, water. Most of these guys wear camelbacks, so you can have the thing hanging out your back. You can just suck on it as you're riding along. I haven't got one yet, so I just had to stop, get off, have some water, but keep hydrated. It's really important on these rides, especially when it's getting warmer, but even when it's cold, keep hydrated. There's a few things to bear in mind and take with you whilst you're on these runs. What else do we have? Respect. Respect. We always tend to ride in smaller groups, probably a maximum generally of about 7 people. Bigger groups are quite daunting for people that are walking and riding on these lanes on horses. Quite antisocial as well. So smaller groups are better, keep the numbers down, I would recommend that. Be mindful of pedestrians, people on horses, livestock. You know, if you see a horse and someone on the back of it, stop, let them come past. The engines are quite loud, turn them off, let them pass, turn them back on when they're gone, carry on. Be mindful, we all want to stay friends here. Same with pedestrians walking on these trails. You're often near footpaths or even byways. You often get people riding and walking on byways as well as bridleways and just footpaths. So just be mindful, be respectful, which is also when you come across a gate. If you're opening and closing gates, they're there for a reason. There's normally livestock. Close the gates behind you, obviously. Stick to the route. If there's an obvious route you're riding along, try your best to stick to it because it's there for a reason. That is the road. If you're veering off and ripping up, a field next to it, that isn't the road, the route. So try and stick to the route and do your best, obviously not to absolutely wreck it. It's not a motocross track, so if it's soaking, sopping wet and you're riding through deep ruts, it's kind of impossible not to spin it up a little bit, obviously, but just be mindful you're not racing around. The reason for trail riding and green laning is to go and enjoy the countryside, to have a nice time riding through the country, off the tarmac. It's fun, but it's not motocross, it's not a race, it's not an enduro race. So yeah, bear those things in mind. What else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. I've covered everything there really briefly. Like I said, I think a really good place to start is with the TRF. If you're against joining that for whatever reason, there are other ways of doing it, GPX files, or just planning your own routes from a map, like I've said. Get onto the public rights-of-way symbols. You'll figure out very quickly what a byway looks like on a map, and you can plan from there. But yeah, the Green Road map is a great resource to have, and it's just a good enough reason to join TRF for me personally. And you get loads of benefits with that. And that wraps up today's vlog. I hope that gives you some information toward, getting started with green laning. I know that when I started, I had so many questions and couldn't find much information at all online. And I know that I can go into more detail here with these things, but I want to keep this particular vlog short, cover it all, kind of blanket cover it all. And then if you have found this useful, then just drop me a comment below for things that you might want to hear in more specific detail. Pretty much, like go into it in more detail. And if you have come by the channel today and seen this vlog or seen my other vlogs and haven't yet subscribed, please do consider doing so because it helps me out, it keeps me going, of course. And now I'm going to carry on packing. I'm currently in London and I'm moving into a van this month. That's all to come. That's pretty chaotic. But until then, hopefully this has given you a bit of information and helped you out should you need it. And I'll see you very soon.